Hi, my name is Ryan Kohler, Hiring Guru, with today's hiring tip. Today we're going to talk, this is like the second part of a two-part series of generating and maximizing the number of applicants you get from your career site. Make sure you stick around to the end. I've still got that sourcing power tool that you can take, and it will help you identify what sources make the biggest impact and where you should focus your attention. All right, so I'm going to recap a study I did. It came from the previous video, but I'll state it again. So we did this study of 1.2 million job applicants, and to be honest, I've done a bunch of these studies. I've done studies exactly like this by industry, for specific clients, etc., in different states. And to be honest, I always get back to pretty much the same data points, that while most employers believe that job boards are the best source of applicants, they're not actually looking at the best source of hires. Because of that, they don't have a great way to identify where they should spend their time or pay attention to increase qualified applicant flow. Now, I'm not saying anything against job board. They're awesome. And we have a job board optimization video you can watch that will help you know how to optimize the results you get from them. But once you've posted to all the job boards out there, or at least all the ones that matter, it's time for you to look at other sources. And you need to be able to identify which ones matter. So I did this study, and here's what I found. Job seekers who land on your company careers page, when you remove out all the job board people, you're left with this group of people who are either coming from your website, they're employee referrals, they're your fans from, say, a Facebook page or something like that, or they're your customers, right? Maybe they're walk-ins. And so those people who land on your career site are actually some of the most qualified candidates out there. When I look at the data and I compare that group versus just normal job board traffic, I find that they're 8 times more likely to be hired. The other way to look at that, again, is that it would require 8 times fewer applicants from these sources to make a hire. So even small improvements make a huge difference because of how much leverage or power these sources have. You might be looking and saying, well, I don't know what to do about that. I'm not sure. In the previous video, I talked about how to increase the traffic and increase the conversion of new users, meaning somebody who's never applied for a job with you. Today, I'm going to talk about how you increase the conversion and traffic of existing users, meaning somebody who applied for a job in the past. Now, you might be thinking, why would we want a job seeker who applied for a job in the past? Well, maybe you filled the job before you even got to them. Maybe they never even made it through the interview process. Maybe it was 6 months ago or a year ago, and now they're more qualified. Maybe they're the person you need today. And so they are highly qualified candidates, and they're coming right out of your database of people. But let me give you some ideas. Number one, we're going to focus on 2 things: increasing traffic, the amount of people coming, and increasing conversion, the likelihood of those people actually applying and finishing an application. So number one, you improve traffic. It's really, really simple. Email your previous job seekers. Go dig in your database of people who applied previously. You should be statusing them correctly so that you know which ones are at least filtered in, that were flagged as qualified. Take those job seekers and send them an email and let them know that you now have a job opening available for them to apply to. It's really that simple. These job seekers are highly qualified. They're more qualified now than they were 6 months ago or a year ago or 2 years ago, because they're not just staying static. If they didn't come work for you, they either stayed where they were at or found a different job doing something similar. So email them. Go and find the jobs. Go and find the job seekers who applied to a job similar and send them an email. On our sites, we use something called refer.io, and it just automates this. It automatically identifies these job seekers, finds them as they apply or as they come to the career site, lists them, builds them, and automatically sends the email out. But you could use a tool like Constant Contact or iContact or SendGrid or any other emailing tool to send out these emails. Just export from your ATS system, name, email, job title they applied to, location, and maybe status. Filter the list to the group you want, send them an email. That's how you improve traffic. Now, the next part is improving conversion. What I mean by that is increasing the likelihood that a returning user who lands on your company career site actually applies to the job. Now, we're not going to talk about actually like how long the application is or how hard it is. We're just talking about starting. We want them to start an application. So I'm going to give you 3 things that you need to think about. Number one, you need to rethink about how they log in. So I actually just got a new phone about 6 months ago. I transferred all my stuff over from my old phone, and yet just because the apps transferred, when I went to use them, My logins didn't transfer. I actually have a to-do list app that I just totally got rid of and got a brand new one because I couldn't get my login reset. Just think about that for a minute, how difficult it is if you don't know your login. Now, unlike a bank account that I log into every day or every few days, unlike social media that I logged into all the time, or unlike my email address, your career site, most likely these job seekers have not logged in for 6 or 12 months, which means they most likely don't remember their password. And so if you actually looked at the data, because I did a study on this a couple years ago, we were finding that a ton of job seekers who landed on our career site were clicking forgot my password and having to go reset the password before they could apply. Now you might say, well, if they really want to apply, they would do it. But here's the deal. It's friction. It reduces the likelihood of them doing that. So you need to rethink how they log in. As a returning user, do they have to remember their password? What other options do they have to get back into the system? There's a ton of other options. You could remove it completely. You could send them a link where they could just click and jump right into the application. What you can do is actually try this as a job seeker. Go to your company career site as a returning job seeker, count how long it takes and how many clicks and how much effort it takes to reset the password, get back in, go find the job again, and apply to it. Inside of that, I guarantee, is a whole lot of clicking and a whole lot of friction and a whole lot of frustration that drives job seekers away. So, number 2, give them other options besides the password. Give them other things that they could do. We have a whole bunch on our platform that allows them to reset via text. It sends them a secret code. If you think about what your apps do, I know not too long ago my Lyft app transferred over. It didn't make me reset the password. It just simply texted me a code and I typed it in and I was good to go again. There's lots and lots of ways for you to make it easier for job seekers to log in, which is a big deal. And number 3, if they come back and they log in to apply to a new job, autofill the application. Or find a way, give them a shorter application if they've been there before. Just do something that reduces how much information they need to fill in because they know you already have it. So it's offensive that you're asking for it again and again and again. And so just think about those types of things. One thing you could do actually if you use an applicant tracking system and you can't fix any of this stuff, it's really quite simple. In that email you sent to the previous applicants, say, hey, would you like this job? Simply tell them to reply to you. Hey, if you're interested, reply, and I'll go copy your application to this job. You might say, well, that's a whole bunch of work. It is a bit of work for you, but it will dramatically increase the likelihood that these job seekers say they're interested in your job. Is it a manual process? Sure. But what it does do is create an amazing experience for those job seekers. And so as you're thinking through this process, I want you to use a little bit more empathy for the job seeker and say, what is this like? Go walk through it yourself. Count how many clicks, count how long it takes, count how frustrated you get, count how many times you get stuck. Waiting for a password to come for 5 minutes means I might walk away and go do something else and not come back. So that's kind of the process you go through in analyzing how hard is it for job seekers to come back to our site and what could we do to make it easier, make them more likely to actually apply. Now, I told you if you stuck around to the end, I would provide you with a link to download our Sourcing Power tool. I cannot tell you how powerful this is, not just for looking at the data, but for making the case to management of why they need to get more involved in sourcing. So download the tool. It'll help you identify which sources have the most power or leverage, and the video will give you ideas of what you can do with it to get more applicants and get more involvement from your management team. Hope that this video finds you well, and until next time, good luck hiring.